good to go. Jeff is live. Illiterate Light from Harrisburg, Virginia. Nice to have you on, dude.
Harrisonburg. Harrisburg, Pennsylvania is 2 hours up the road, and Harrisonburg, Virginia is just a little farther south. But
dude, the East Coast is so foreign to me. I'm a Midwest boy. I drive out there once a year, and these towns I can't tell the difference on a map.
blur together. I know. Dude. Yeah, but I'm in the Shenandoah Valley, Harrisonburg, Virginia. It's a cool little college funky arts town in the mountains.
Nice.
So I spend most of the year, in a van, cruising around. So it's nice to just come home to a place that's a little more chill.
Yeah, man. So you're doing what, like 200 dates a year at this point?
I don't think we're hitting 200 right now. I think we're definitely over 100, which
Nice.
is great. We love touring, man. It's really kind of how Jake and I have. It was like the basis of this band, which sounds very funny, but I just wasn't really into playing live shows as much as I was into recording prior to this band. And when we formed Illiterate Light, we wanted everything to be based around the live experience. So we love being on the road.
Beautiful. And it's just you two guys. Forgive me, Jake is the drummer, right?
Jake is the drummer.
Okay. And he's kind of known for playing standing drums.
His thing, man. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
that's cool.
He's
Does he get
shin
splints, or is there any why doesn't more people do that? Is there like physical ailments that come with standing drums?
There's plenty. And we don't have health care. So, it's a real risk that we're running right now. But it's really fun. It's like we just wanted to find a way to do something that was a little bit more unique. And just not really have Jake in the, kind of behind me doing like the blues rock thing. So we're like, let's bring all this energy forward and let's see what we can do. And I remember the first night he did it in DC, and it was just like the whole crowd was just so animated, like watching Jake. It's really just a captivating experience to watch somebody jumping around like that.
Dude, any way to switch it up and not be a run of the mill, you have to. It's like what else can you do? It's like there's more bands on earth than there ever has been in the history of mankind. So but yeah, big ups for trying new stuff and getting weird with it. And you're playing the synth bass with your feet.
I'm some of what I'm doing is a little bit less visible to folks, but essentially I've got a big synthesizer that I play with my feet. It's called a Terrace.
And that sounds brutal.
It is a little brutal. It's also very fun. I'm kind of jamming with myself up there. It took a while to really get comfortable with it. But yeah, it's almost like, from the movie Big with Tom Hanks, where they're like jumping on that like big piano. It's kind of like a miniature version of that. But yeah, I can do some really cool droney stuff. And then, sometimes it's funny, like I'll be singing something, playing guitar, and then playing bass with my feet, and then trying to kind of like headbang a little bit. And it's like, it actually feels very natural to me. And then I'll like go for like a walk and like try to have like a conversation, and like I can't do two things at once. In certain areas, but with music it feels really natural.
I could see where that would like knock your equilibrium around, almost like you just got off a boat or something.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's no like, getting liquored up and going on stage or anything like that. It's like for both Jake and I, it's like a very balanced, it's kind of like an athletic event.
Yeah, dude. I used to do the duo myself. I didn't play synths with my feet, but you know how it is. Like I had 3 channels. I had 3 different amps running. There was a bass amp running, a guitar amp, and an acoustic line, and I was playing an acoustic guitar. But there was like 10 different buttons to press, and I just got sick of it, man. Like I was getting like shin splints on my right foot from standing on it too much, and my brain was just like deep fried every show. So we moved to a trio, which has really helped us, but and it's taken a ton of weight off my shoulders, and kind of being able to get away from, we were kind of like a garage rock outfit at that point, which is awesome and some of my favorite kinds of music, but I felt like it limited us as to what we could do. But yeah, the trio's been like really, really cool, and the camaraderie has been really good. And even with just the trio, man, it's like you can't afford to make mistakes because they're very visible. So with the duo, you're even more vulnerable. So big respect for pulling that off.
It's a very raw experience. I think the like kind of change up that we've made over the last year or two is that we've decided to embrace the studio in a very different way than we do the live show, which the live show is like there's no backing tracks. It's super raw. It's just what you see is what you get. But both Jake and I are multi-instrumentalists. And so in the studio, we've decided to like just kind of leave some of that behind and just embrace more like, okay, cool. We're going to do songs with some more lush instrumentation, or like write some tunes on piano or synthesizer, stuff that we honestly can't even replicate live. But so we've
Okay.
just decided to approach our studio, the recordings that we're making now as just like a songwriting team, just kind of,
Yeah.
we've just been approaching it differently. But live, we still do feel, we're butting up against our limitations quite frequently.
Sure. I
Kind of the
feel you,
fun
man.
part.
For sure. And one of the things I love to ask on the pod is like highlight, low light shows, like in like weird venues you've played, soul crushing moments, anything on the recent run that sticks out, or just
We were just
harrowing.
That's a good question. Yeah. We were just out. The shows this year have been really solid. I feel like 2021 was a little bit funky just because everybody was so excited to start touring again, after not touring for like 18 months or so. But there was a lot of soul crushing shows kind of like end of 2021 where there's just that feeling of COVID still in the air. But a real highlight for me, Newport Folk Festival, playing there in 2019, was an amazing show. I'm a huge fan of that festival, and I'm a big fan of like the tradition and lineage there. So it felt really cool to be a part of that. And then now we've got a cool gig going with them where this is going to be our third year performing there, in
Man, nice.
2023. And so we've kind of been welcomed into that community a little bit, which has been amazing. The low light shows, it's like there's not even really one that sticks out. I mean, there's like a million, there's just like a lot of shows of just playing to, I wouldn't even call them low light shows, but there's just a lot of shows where you travel pretty far to get to a city, and just not really feeling like people are super into it, or not seeing the turnout that you want. Sometimes that can take a little toll. But the fun thing about me and Jake's friendship is we really always go hard no matter what and have a great
Mhm.
time. But yeah, we've played enough bar gigs and stuff like that where like in between like Illiterate Light touring where we're just trying to make some cash on tips. Some of those shows,
Yeah,
get a little bit, they wear you out a little bit. But yeah, we
for
don't have
sure.
like a disaster show, like we've had enough DIY shows where we're getting electrocuted throughout it, just like from microphones and stuff. Like they don't even really phase us anymore. But yeah, we haven't had any like catastrophic like blow ups or anything like that. I'm
Well,
not
that's too
gonna.
bad for the show. Too bad
I
for the
know.
show.
I know.
Hey,
I'm
Jake is
sorry.
in the waiting room. Should we let him in?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's get him in here. Jake, where are you at? Okay. Oh, there he is. What up? Oh, we can't hear you. Jake is connecting to audio. All right, we're mid pod, so you got to jump in the moving vehicle now.
Gotcha. Sorry about that,
Oh,
man.
no, there you are. All good. Do you have a wild night last night?
No, I've been recording a band this morning and the time got away from me.
Okay, cool. Jeff made it sound like you were raging until 9 a.m. He really threw you under the bus when you were gone.
Well, cool. We'll roll with that story.
Just kidding. Yeah, good to see you. So, how have you guys? Have you been able to hold down romantic relationships in your life of transit?
That's a great question. Jake, why don't you kick off that?
I was in a romantic relationship well before the life of transit. I've been married about 10 years, and this band's been going about 5. No, 6, 7 now, maybe.
8.
8. I keep getting older.
Nice.
But
Nice.
yeah, I got a good lady that has a life of her own and comes out on tour when she can, and it's going all right.
Nice. So she's got her own kind of like is she kind of an entrepreneur?
Um, uh, no, I think she's had the last couple of years she's worked for a small business in Nashville, a furniture consignment company, and just loves furniture and loves what she does.
Nice.
We're moving to Richmond, Virginia in a month or so, and so I think she's going to be moving into a bit more of an entrepreneurial lifestyle. She's
Yeah.
going to be refinishing furniture, selling that on
Right.
Marketplace, maybe getting a little stand in an antique market, something like that.
Yeah,
So
it seems really important, like to when you've kind of got your passion or your thing you're obsessed with your band. I think it's important that your significant other gets that and has like their own like mission. You know, I think that helps kind of connect people with that entrepreneurial spirit.
that's for sure.
Nice. What
Yeah.
about you? What about you there, Jeff Gorman?
I'm coming up on 5 years of marital bliss.
Nice.
Yeah. Sarah and I, my wife and I met in 2014, 2015, and we started this band in 2015. So we dated for a few years and then got married in 2018. And it's the bomb, man. Sarah's, she's my rock. She's coming out on the road with us a bit too. So it's fun that we get to travel in that way. But yeah, she's airing out, tents and things like that right now from a festival this weekend that she was working at. So we got a good gig. She's amazingly independent and supportive of what we do, which,
Yeah, nice.
it's kind of a funky life that we've chosen, but yeah, she's loving it and along for the ride.
How incredible to have that stability in like the most unstable job on the planet. That's really big ups to both of you guys. Do you have any advice? Do you have any advice to for holding down a romantic relationship with a job that travels a lot?
That's a great question.
Basically, how do I get a girlfriend that doesn't get pissed off at me?
That's funny.
That is I was gonna say, it is funny. I've been in this relationship so long, the idea of getting a girlfriend is very foreign to me at this point. So I don't know if I'm the best advice on that front, but
it's great to not have to worry about that,
Yeah. I guess what you're saying is keeping the girlfriend when you're traveling a bunch. What's the plan there? I'd say getting to the point where communication daily is something that you look forward to rather than you feel like you have to do. And maybe the way to do that is spending real quality time when you're not traveling and making it so that you each have your own life. And when you check in each day, you're excited to get the update and talk to the other person. I think that's a kind of a way that we try to approach it. And it means like if there's a day or two in a row where we don't get to connect when we're on the road, it's mainly just a bummer because we're kind of missing out on the other person, as opposed to feels like it's a chore that we have to stay in touch.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I've always felt like there's been like mandatory once a day calls, which I just I'm not a fan of, like any not contractual, but it's like these like unwritten contracts, but that's never worked.
Man, I can attest to like Sarah and I, there's times where we'll go like 7 or 10 days without really talking, and neither of us, I mean, we miss each other like crazy, but I love that. I mean,
That's big.
Yeah, it's been like great and then we chat and we text, and like, it's great. Like being with somebody that supports you and supports your independence and autonomy is like the healthiest thing in the world. Like my whole vibe is like, know who you are and know what you're looking for. And like, I feel like when I started this relationship, I was like, this is like following my passion is like what is going to make me a better partner. And so like, this is who I am.
Oh yeah.
I want to do. And Sarah's been like fully supportive, but like I don't know. There's probably some folks that want to be in constant communication. But yeah, for us, it's worked really well. Like, having things kind of chunked out a little bit there. But yeah, it's been great. I love being married. I love my wife, man. I think it's like, it's great.
Really, really well said there, Jake. How the more you follow your passion, the better partner you are, because I think it just sounds like you both have a lot of self-confidence. You know who you are. You're keen on what you're doing professionally. I think when both sides are self-confident and feel good in their own shoes, I think you're in a really good place. Because self-esteem, self-confidence, it's a tough thing to get, especially in the United States of America. Like, this place is crazy. everyone lives 1 foot online and 1 foot in physical reality. So it's easy to get wobbly. It's easy to have your self-esteem knocked off balance. So, I mean, I can't think of a better thing to have than self-confidence and kind of knowing who you are. And that really comes and goes for me, but it sounds like you guys are in a good place. So big ups.
Appreciate that. Yeah. You know how it is. It comes and goes. I saw The Cure last night in Columbia, Maryland at Meriwether Post Pavilion. And it was such a, affirming sort of thing. Like, they closed the set with Boys Don't Cry, and like, played it like it was like the first time they'd ever played the tune. And I'm sitting there just watching a group of like dudes in their 60s and 70s. And it's not the, completely the original lineup, but like Robert Smith is just like bearing his soul on stage. And it's just like, that's who he is. That's who he's been for the last 60, 70 years of his life. And so I don't know. I always come back to when I do the thing that I love, it makes me a better partner to Sarah. So yeah, that's not the only reason I'm playing music, but it's great to have a partner that vibes with what we do.
For sure. And you think The Cure, those guys are still having a good time up there, like
Absolutely.
50 years later?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it was one of the best shows I've ever seen. It truly was amazing. Honestly, the new music was what I was most drawn to. They announced an album in 2022 and it still hasn't come out yet. And so some people were like kind of wondering what's going on with that, but they played a bunch of tunes off of it and they were amazing. I mean, even the new stuff they're writing was so good. I loved it. It was really inspiring.
Nice. Yeah. Hypothetically, what do you guys think the keys to our longevity for like a band? Like easier to say for The Cure, who's a massive band, has huge infrastructure, money is not an issue. What about for bands like us? What do you think is the cure, the cure to longevity, to staying in the game when you're not like rolling in briefcases of cash and kind of operating at a more semi DIY level?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I feel like Jeff and I have experienced the roller coaster at this point several times of really good moments, momentum, everything's working, there is some cash, and then, you go down the hill and you're at the bottom for a while, and the people that need to get out of the way leave. We've changed some teammates, but I think a big part through all of it is Jeff and I have been really honest with our communication with each other. When we have needs or financial needs or just time and space, goals in life that maybe don't line up with the band perfectly, but just like I can't, I guess to speak more directly, I'm moving into a point in my life where I'm ready to start having kids.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty wild step in life to try to figure out when you live half of your life in a van, driving around and playing whatever show you can. But yeah, we're in this place where it's like, all right, cool. Well, we both know what we want. We're clear with each other what we're willing to give, and that's pretty much everything at this point. Like we're both so fully committed to this band, and have been from the start. And I think we're just at this place where every step of the way we check in, we have the hard conversations. It also helps that there's only two of us. There's a lot less, 4 or 5 way emotional conversations. It's kind of, I guess I have more practice just having an emotional conversation with one person than with 5 people. So
yeah,
maybe being a duo helps.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, that's you're doing the right thing with building your infrastructure on a duo. Stockton to Malone, Jordan to Pippen. I think you're just you're safer for the long haul. What is the strategy when you do have kids? Like, what is the band? How does the band reshape how you do things?
Well, there's a bit of we're going to figure it out when we get there. I mean, we know some other musicians, and we do a lot of whether or not we have a lot of mentors that we check in and talk to regularly. There's musicians and people that have lived the lives that we want to live, and we try to look at what those people do and the interviews they give, and And yeah, it's like a lot of my favorite musicians also have families and figure it out. And, you know, you read their autobiographies or whatever, and it's like pretty chaotic at the same time. So I think the short answer is I'm not going to actually know what it's like until we get there. We are planning just like being more honest with touring and knowing that like we want to do more regional touring and we want to do like a few bigger tours a year rather than like the 2019 leading up to when COVID happened and everything shut down. We were basically in the van for the entire year. So just kind of getting to the point where it's like, all right, well, we know the markets we do well in and the markets we want to build, and we schedule around that, and we put a lot of effort into promotion. And then like, we're really excited now to have gotten to a place where we've got a home studio, and recording is something we can do. We can kind of have a little more control over, and that's something we'll do during the week. And yeah, I think those are some of the basics of, I don't know, but we're just going to keep doing it and face those challenges as they come.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, what else can you do but keep trucking? You know, it's it's impossible to know. It's like plotting too far in the future, I think, just can drive you nuts. So
yeah,
I think you're spot on there. Have you guys gotten any strange places? What's the weirdest country or weirdest place you've ever played?
We haven't gone to Europe or the UK yet. We've been to Canada, and we've played in Montreal and Toronto, Quebec. Let's see, where's the weirdest fit? It's funny because yeah, like I was kind of mentioning earlier, I mean, we've played so many house shows too at this point. Like those tend to be a little bit more of like the funky nights. Are you playing house shows at all, Brett?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. Okay, cool. I like always assume, but like then sometimes I like talk to people and they're just like, yeah, I've never really been in that scene. I'm just like, all right.
Missing out.
Yeah, I know, for real. But yeah, we've been able to tour almost every state in the US at this point. I mean, some of the states that don't really have music, we haven't really been out there.
What was the weirdest house gig you played?
I'm trying to think.
If you need to disguise it, just change the name of the city.
Yeah, right. I know. Are we about to get excommunicated from the DIY scene? That's a good question, man. I'm like, for whatever reason, it wasn't a show that we played, but it's like this kind of like smorgasbord of memories at this point. It was, yeah, because we didn't actually end up playing there. But Jake, I just keep going back to the Lynchburg, Virginia, hospitality situation. We played a gig at a really cool spot in Lynchburg, Virginia, which is a small college town in Virginia. And Rivermont Pizza. It's great, killer place. This was 2016, 2015. We had like really just formed the band. For whatever reason, it feels like it was a house show that we played, but it wasn't. We didn't have a place to stay. And mind you, we're only like an hour and a half. It was only like an hour and a half from here. Like at this point in our career, we would just like drive home after a gig like that. But like for whatever reason, it just felt like we were supposed to stay in this town, but we didn't have any connections for where to stay. And so we were friends with like a ton of anarchists in the area, and they offered to like, house us for the night. And we had like a bunch of people with us. It was like me and Jake and then like 4 friends. We're like, oh, great. So after the show, it's like midnight, and we end up going back to this like abandoned mansion that it turns out they're squatting in with no running water or like electricity, and like animal pelts all over the place, and like flashlight, like it was like straight up just like we are about to get killed right now sort of. And like we all roll in there with our sleeping bags and whatnot, like no toilet paper, like no ability to use the bathroom or anything like that. And it was just like,
also, I don't think anyone was actually hosting us. I think like they were supposed to, and then they ended up being out of town, and they were just like, here's the address. And so we would just walk into this place with all of these animal bones everywhere and have all the electricity turned off. And they're like, yeah, that's normal. Like,
good.
Okay, thanks.
So you just like poop in the backyard and stuff?
I guess so. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was more of like on the weird, like, where did we crash sort of thing. But for whatever reason, I'm not having like the like quintessential, like crazy, weird show, come to mind right now.
I remember sleeping on a like this punk kind of show in I think it was Pittsburgh. Promoter, real cool guy, super sweetheart, nice fella, but he's just like, yeah, man, I got you covered for lodging. You know, I got you. And like I follow him to his like parents' house, and he just like takes me down to like the cellar. It's just this cold, damp, unfinished concrete cellar. And he's like,
Yeah.
dude, just make yourself at home. Just like you can just crash anywhere, make yourself at home. So I'm like stepping over dirty laundry, and I like assembled like 6 or 7 pizza boxes and just lay, like he didn't even give me a blanket. Like I just laid on the pizza boxes and like I think I just probably chowed a couple melatonin or like whatever medicine I had in my back sack. This is pre CBD era. And yeah,
How did we live back then?
Yeah, no shit. But always cracks me up how nice / oblivious some of those like hosts are. Yeah. I mean, we've stayed at like Cokehead's house, and like clearly people with like drinking issues
up till 5 a.m. Yeah, I had the similar thing, and
you're sleeping and they're playing Mario Kart like over the top of you with the cords like on top of your head.
Oblivious. That is the
yeah. I'm not going to name names, but yeah, we've had our fair share of this. There was a spot in the Northeast that we played, and we went back to this dude's house, and it was like the classic. He's like, here's the kitchen, so just put your sleeping bags wherever you want, like kitchen floor sort of thing. It's like 3 a.m. He's like, and so yeah, all my friends will be over in like an hour, and we'll start partying. Oh my gosh. And so then eventually I was like, his buddies come back, and it's like, turns out they're like snake kings. They're just like, oh dude, let's get the snakes out, man. Like they've all
like they have snake, like pet snakes.
It's like real snakes. And Jeff has a serious fear of snakes. So that did not go well with Jeff.
I've never heard of that. Like, have you ever heard of guys like getting together to party so they can like drink and play with snakes?
No, but I've slept in those houses at this point in my life. Yeah, it was just kind of like, just dudes doing blow till 5, like right in the kitchen, like right where you're like they're hosting you. I'm like, why did you invite us over, man?
I would have hard drugs.
We could have slept in like a freaking parking lot and like better night's sleep than this. But anyways,
yeah, unlikely those guys are still breathing, walking around, eating 3 meals a day. That's
they've made who knows, man. But anyways, so at this point we've built out 4 bunk beds in our van. So we literally we've got a little mini tour bus.
Oh man, how do I do that? Like, what kind of teach me? What kind of van you got?
You got the Ford Transit 350 XLT stand.
Okay, that's the tall boy with the long Transit. Back.
Exactly.
Biggest, tallest we could find.
The tall boy supreme. Nice. And then do you have carpentry skills? Did you build the bunkies in the back?
Yeah. So before this band, Jeff and I met in 2010, and we were in another band for about 4 years. And then there was a year in between where I went off and worked construction for a year, and then have kind of kept those skills up off tour, either helping friends out or renovating my house when I had a house. And so, yeah, it's a really simple build out. It's just straight up plywood, nothing sexy about it. But we just like figured out how to mount it to the back of the van and built a little cube system. And I call it the Chipotle aesthetic.
Nice.
And it works incredibly well.
So is the back separate? Where is the back just all gear, like compartmentalized off?
So that's the nice thing. So we have 2 ways that we do it. Since this really only works because we're a duo, so there's 2 of us. If it's just Jeff and I touring, and we're not bringing any crew or friends or family or anything, then we have the 2 bunks on top, and the bottom becomes like a gear locker, and we can just move 1 sheet of plywood that would divide the 2 bunks from each other on the bottom to then divide the like seating area from the gear locker. So that's probably, I don't really have a better way to describe that, but we move 1 piece of plywood, and it all of a sudden is like an impenetrable cage that nobody can steal from. And then if we have a bigger tour where we're going to be out for longer, or we have crew coming with us or something, we have the 4 bunks and we pull a trailer. So all the gear goes in the trailer, and the van is just like the cabin area.
Okay. Wow. Pulling a trailer. That's the next level.
It was a big step up when we did that. it's got its real advantages and its very stressful moments.
I forgot to ask you, when you guys are playing house shows, are you playing more like listening living room shows, or are these like rowdy DIY basement punk shows?
We do a little bit of both at this point, but usually it's on the heavier side. Yeah, we do strip it back occasionally, but if we're throwing in house shows, we still like to rock.
So you're touring with a full PA as well.
When we're doing, if we have house shows on a run, then no, not really. We usually just use whatever they have, which
okay,
can be great, and can also, like I said earlier, like plenty of nights where like, yeah, you're just getting electrocuted throughout the show just because like power isn't, wired correctly. But yeah,
maybe that's what part of made your sound so good, is you just got electrocuted so many times.
So I had enough brain cells, not really thinking about it anymore.
Or it's like, yeah, or it enhanced your game. It's like that movie, like in some obscure version of the movie Rookie of the Year, where the kid breaks his arm and then he can throw like 1,000 miles an hour fastballs and gets to the major league. Like, you might not even know those currents might just be giving you like mad guitar chops.
I think you're right. Yeah, we owe more to those house shows than I realized. We played a show in Raleigh where we were just getting electrocuted like crazy, like the whole show, like at that joint Slims. And yeah, we came to find out like phantom power was turned on for like, I don't really even know if that was like the issue, but it was like phantom power, like 48 volts were going to like every single channel, and like nothing was ground properly, and there was all these feedback loops, and like they just kind of wouldn't really like adjust it. We just kind of played like without the PA.
Power is a foreign, like, you'd think we would all know about voltage and wattage and current and ACDs. I don't know what anything is.
We've learned. We're definitely novices, but we've definitely learned a thing or two over the years about that stuff.
And how's your mental health been with all the moving around and stuff?
I feel like I'm doing really well, to be honest. I have got a few little things, really integrating a healthy like body exercise movement on the road via like both the kettlebell that I bring, and then also just like we have Planet Fitness memberships, and they're all over the country.
Nice.
So you can go to a gym anywhere. Really having that as like a stabilizer for me has been amazing. But I feel really, really positive about just where we're at as a band right now, the music that we're writing. I've really enjoyed like the travel element of being on the road recently, and just finding little times to, pop away or meet new people. At this like kind of season of my life, I feel really grateful, and I'm really enjoying it.
Nice. Beautiful.
Yeah, I think for me, it was honestly the big change from like touring life into pandemic life that was the biggest struggle for me in the last couple of years. It felt the most like an identity crisis, where for 5 years my entire identity was a musician that lives on the road, and all of a sudden that wasn't possible anymore. And it took me a little while to figure out that I still can exist without that. And so, but yeah, I've really enjoyed turning more towards the recording side and becoming or like, I guess, enjoying the more introverted side of my personality and spending time alone or in smaller groups. And but I've definitely enjoyed getting back to it. I think we've done the sort of like DIY style of touring long enough now that we've worked out some kinks where it feels pretty, I'm not going to say comfortable, but it feels kind of like home to be in a van and to, have a way to find my personal space or go on a walk and do that sort of thing. So there's some times where it's like going out on the road, I feel like almost more like I have a schedule that I can stick to, and like I know where I'm supposed to be at certain times, and then I come home and I have to like organize my life all over again. And but yeah, it's an interesting way to kind of go float back and forth between those two lifestyles.
Yeah, brilliant. Good to hear. Well, it sounds like you guys got a great momentum, great heads on your shoulders. I really like what you're doing. I was turned on to you guys by Jordan from Mo Lauda.
Yeah,
And
we had a blast with those guys on the road for the last all throughout April.
yeah, no, I mean, they're doing it better than anyone right now. He's become a good pal, and just I mean, yeah, it's like you guys have a good like family out there. It seems like you got good coalition of bands that just love the sound, and they fit together, you know. So that's
Yeah.
important. It's really important to have.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we're very fortunate in that way. Yeah, we got a lot of good peeps out there that we get to spend our time with. But yeah, we love Molada. We got a bunch more stuff we're doing with them, both this year and then into next year, which we haven't announced that yet, but it's all coming.
Okay, sweet. Where should we steer the people right now? What's like the project you're pushing the most? New record?
We have a lot of stuff that we're working on. We put out an album in late January of this year, and we've been really just enjoying playing it live. It's called Sunburned. We recorded it in Richmond, Virginia, and then we did some overdubs and a few other little things here at my studio, as well as in Nashville. So that's the record that just came out. But we're also working on a ton of new music as we speak. We've got a bunch of new recordings that we're just kind of chipping away at. We're adding some pedal steel on some stuff this week. And I guess a big thing for us, we just announced a 50-date tour. So people, it's mainly East Coast, a little bit of Midwest, also Southwest. We get out as far as Denver, Austin, Texas, New Orleans, some of our favorite cities down there. So we got the new record. We have a new tour that we just announced. We just put out an audio tree. So we're playing, 6 of the 9 songs off of Sunburned live. So if anybody really wants to see kind of what we do live and how these songs sound in a more raw way, then check out the audio tree. In addition to that, we are also, I'm just kind of monologuing at this point. If you say, like, what else are you working on? It's kind of like a lot of stuff, but we have a cool gig going on, with Newport Folk Festival. It's I mentioned it earlier, but it's just an amazing music festival that's been happening for, I think, 70 years at this point. It's where Bob Dylan went electric in 1965. Mm-hmm. It's been the home of a lot of protest music throughout the years. And we are running our own stage there. And the stage is powered with alternative energy. So the stage is powered with 6 bicycles and a bunch of solar panels. So we've got 12 acts playing on our stage this year, including us. And while people are playing, we're going to have fans coming over, and they're going to jump on a bike for 3 or 5 minutes, and we'll hand you a drink, and you get to watch the show from basically backstage and literally create the energy that's being used to power the amplifiers, to power the speakers and PA and all that. So
that rules, man. That's so
really
cool.
Yeah, really cool kind of project and vision that we've been trying to bring to life for about 10 years now, and it's happened in various ways. But this is our second year doing it at Newport. There was a really great response last year, and we're trying to do 2 things with that. In one way, we're trying to really talk about what's the future of energy and the future of touring going to look like as far as climate change goes, and just bringing some awareness to the earth is changing pretty rapidly. And, we as artists are affected by that and part of that. And we want to start thinking about some cool new ways to do things differently. So 1, we're trying to bring some awareness to that, but 2, we're also just trying to bring people a little bit closer into the heart of the music and the art. And so having fans being able to engage in this way and really, literally create the electricity that is needed for a show. We've seen how impactful that's been for people. It's like, it's such a different way of experiencing a show than just kind of sitting there passively. People are really actively engaged, and we get to really use people's bodies, and like bring your emotions online through that. Mm-hmm. So those are a lot of the things that we're working on. The Newport stage is going to be a blast, and that's kind of right in the midst of a bunch of touring. And we're playing a big amphitheater. Well, not amphitheater, but a big outdoor pavilion here in Charlottesville with the Head and the Heart in a few weeks. So we got some fun summer shows coming up, and just a lot of different, Jake and I are very multifaceted. We kind of have a million things going on at once.
Brilliant, dudes. Well, hey, I really appreciate it. Love what you're doing. Love your ethos. Love to see some mentally healthy, musicians out there doing it for real, making a living. It's very inspiring. I'm sure a lot of people will find a lot of use in this chat. So yeah, please come to Wisconsin. Let me know what I can do to help on my end. I'm all behind you. So yeah, we'll keep it going. I hope to see you out east or in the Midwest, and I'll come find you and check a show sooner than later.
Sounds great, man. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Much love.